I don't re-listen to my shows. Like I get them done, they're uploaded for the team to take care of, and I never listen to them again. And I don't understand that some people have the time to listen to their own episodes like 5 times, and they're really freaking themselves out. They're like, oh, I had an at this 21 minute and 42-second mark, and I dropped a pen in this one. I should have said that, and they just really overthink it. I just say, get it done, do your best, but don't worry about it.
Welcome back to Oh My Pod. I'm Justin.
And I'm Celine.
We have a really, really cool guest today. His name is Marc Mawhinney. And I'm going to hop right into his bio. So Marc Mawhinney is a coach for other coaches. He's also a podcaster and an entrepreneur. Marc has been podcasting since before it was hip and trendy, with his podcast, Natural Born Coaches, that he's been creating since 2014. That's when I was in grade 9. So it's been a while. He's done over 800 episodes, which is insane. Marc also has a Facebook group for coaches called The Coaching Jungle, which boasts over 24,000 members. He made a promise that once he made it as a coach, he would help other coaches do the same. And he is doing that. He's doing that right now. And I came across Marc actually from a podcast that we produce called The Picture of Wealth. And I was listening actually I was just listening to the episode to see like, oh, how's our audio quality? How's our editing going? And I was listening through and hearing everything. And then as I was kind of listening to the audio quality, I start hearing a bit more and more about Marc and what he's up to. And then something in that episode piqued my interest when he said, like it was something along the lines of every business should get a coach at some point. Probably a bit more eloquent than that, but it really, I don't know. I just thought, yeah, like I don't really know exactly what we're doing with Podigy. I don't know exactly what our message is, and decided that I was going to go and get a business coach. And so I reached out to somebody that I'd been following on Instagram for about a year. I knew that he was a good coach, knew that he did good work, and reached out to him. And a week later, I had bought his program, which was not cheap at all, but it's been probably the most valuable thing that we've done for Podigy so far. And it's helped us create what feels like an entirely new business. So that is truly the power of podcasting. I'm really grateful that Marc ended up on that show, because I don't know where we would be if we hadn't done the business coaching thing.
Yeah, it was really funny because you were listening at the gym and you came over to me and were like, we need a business coach.
Yeah, immediately. So
yeah, immediately.
Yeah. So
like
Marc, Marc did a great job. So thanks for coming on the show. And how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. And as a lover of puns, I like your guys' title for the show.
Yeah, right.
Great. I saw a picture the other day of a chair store, furniture store, and it was called Shack of Sit, which I thought was great.
Yeah. Yeah, I knew from the episode with Dustin on The Picture of Wealth that you love your jokes. It's really
jokes, puns, yeah.
Totally. That's great. So I like to do like sort of like a little icebreaker, which is completely unrelated to everything else. So what, in your opinion, is the most beautiful place that you've ever traveled to in your life?
It's funny with my travel, it's been restricted to this side of the pond, the ocean. I haven't been over to Europe or anything.
Oh, really?
Like
Okay.
that. No, it's been, I've been to Mexico and, a place like that. It's funny. A lot of the places I've been to in the U.S. aren't what you'd consider traditionally beautiful spots that people are necessarily going. So this one might be a little different, but then I'll give an answer that's a little closer to home to give a plug for my local tourist industry. But anywhere down the States, if I've gone speaking at events, to conferences or whatever, I love like all the cities, just being somewhere different. I'm here on the East Coast of Canada. I know you guys are on the West Coast, but I always come back with like more energy and different ideas and things like that. So like I said, the places that I'd be mentioning would be like, this sounds funny to say beautiful places, but like, like Vegas, I've been a couple times. I love the energy. Yeah. San Diego, I would be doing so much personal development stuff if I was in San Diego, because when I was there, like the number of conferences and everything that are all right there, it's ground zero for personal development, which I would absolutely love. So I know that's not your picturesque, propose to your girlfriend places, but I think everywhere. And Mexico's got its pluses too,
Totally,
watching Narcos or Breaking Bad or whatever, what you'd assume Mexico is. There's some beautiful spots. I'll say closer to home on the East Coast of Canada. I'm pretty close to Prince Edward Island. I don't know if you guys have been over this way. But that's a really cool cool island. It's I go there quite often because I'm close to Prince Edward Island. So I'd encourage people to come over and check that out because it's a really neat. It's a beautiful spot.
Nice.
Yeah, I really want to go over to that side of Canada because I've never been, and I don't know.
Same, me too.
I have this feeling that it like kind of looks like Scotland or Ireland or something, and I really like that type of landscape. Like,
Yeah, it's a little quieter vibe than say BC or Ontario. A lot of Canadians are discovering since COVID that there's more to Canada east of Quebec. So we see a lot more license plates from other parts of the country because we've got everyone moving here because of COVID, trying to get to a little bit quieter way of life and away from people where it's a little more spread out, and the real estate prices are better than bigger markets, although they're skyrocketing now. Thanks, guys, for jacking up our real estate prices now.
Of course. Yeah. Very cool. Yeah. So one of the main reasons that we wanted to bring you onto the show, among other things, was that you have this podcast, which at this point is like this evergreen giant of content. You've got like 800 episodes, which is crazy. And so what we're trying to figure out with these interviews, well, we're kind of learning on the go as to what we're trying to figure out, but why did you start your podcast in 2014? Like, what was the thing that made you decide to do something like podcasting when in 2014 it probably would have been more like, I don't know, websites and blogs and stuff like that, and podcasting was still very, very young.
Yeah, it feels like so long ago, right? Like the Stone Age. So basically, I started my coaching business in March of 2014. And I was honestly looking for ways to get, just like any coach, I think, or entrepreneur should be looking for ways to get their name, their message out to more people, potential clients. And I was familiar with podcasting because for years, I say years, probably, I don't know, 3 or 4 years, I'd been listening to baseball podcasts and some business ones. There wasn't nearly the selection that there is nowadays, but I was familiar with podcasting that way. And actually saw what John Lee Duma was doing with Entrepreneur on Fire, and he had started, I believe it was 2012. And so I thought, well, it's working for John. I ended up buying his and Kate's Podcasters Paradise coaching program. We're talking about the value of coaching, and learned from them how to do it. And
so you actually bought a course about how to do a podcast as an entrepreneur?
Yeah, joined their community. That was great. And I thought, well, John's doing it every day, so I'll do daily too. How hard could it be, And my show is daily for the first year, 350-ish some episodes. I was editing myself at the time because my brother Matt, who now has he started his podcast production business in 2015. So a year later, I very happily handed it over and said, "Here you go, knock yourself out." But for that year, I was editing a daily show as well.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I give you guys credit because I'd rather get a root canal than edit. I'm pretty sure that was why a relationship died back then, because I was in front of my laptop all the time, and she had to watch me record, edit shows and everything else. But yeah, it's now a weekly frequency. It's been for years. And that's, I like that pace. But to answer your question, podcasting, I just enjoyed it. I didn't overthink it. I said, I'm just going to jump in, learn how to do it. I bought that program, and then I'm glad that I didn't think, okay, I have to have 800 and some episodes, or all this stuff would have probably freaked me out and it would have been too much. But it's like that old saying, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. I just got started. It's snowballed, and here we are today.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Impressive.
Very, good point.
I thought I was late to the party, by the way. I thought I was too late in 2014 because if I was like John getting started in 2012 and I missed the boat, and now people are saying that about me. They're like, well, it's easy for you, Mark, to talk about podcasting. You've been doing this since 2014. I'm too late. I'm like, you're never too late. There's never a perfect time. Just jump in and do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. Wow. I want to ask another question on that. So from when you started to now, like, how has it changed for you? Like in terms of like when do you think it has grown the most? And just how podcasting changed over the years? Like, have you noticed anything big?
It's been relatively stable, I think. Take, for example, the format of my show has always been roughly, besides switching frequency from daily to weekly, it's, always been roughly 30-minute show. really, I would say as the years gone on, it's become less scripted. So in the early days, I was like, okay, I'm going to ask these questions every single episode, these consistent ones or whatever. And I kind of threw that away, said I hate to say wing it. Like I check in on my guests, I'll watch some of their videos, read some of the stuff they've written before they come on, but I'm not doing weeks of research and all this. It's just, let's see where the conversation goes.
Yeah, you just want to have a conversation like you would with a regular human. That's like the whole, that's the whole medium. That's what it's for. Totally.
Yeah, I don't know if much has changed to answer your question, Celine. I hope that I'm better than I don't want to listen to the early ones because I would probably want to. I was going to say, you normally say gouge your eyes out if you're watching it, but if it's your ears, I'd want to fill my ears with concrete so I couldn't hear it. There we go.
I think me and Justin both know how that is because Justin has been a musician and has really old music stuff.
Yeah,
and I used to have a YouTube channel, and I can't even look at it and listen to it.
Like unboxings of LOL dolls and things, or no?
It's not like that. No, that's not it. No. No,
for a story, my early stages, I had a Blue Yeti microphone, not realizing how sensitive it was, so it was a little too close to me. And one of my friends said, "Hey, Mark, I heard the new show. Congrats." He's like, "Can I just let you know about something?" I'm like, "Oh, sure. What?" And he said, "I could hear your breathing, like your nostrils, from it." And I don't know if you guys watch The Simpsons. There's that old Simpsons episode where Homer's in church with Ned, and he's been annoying Ned all episode. And they're praying, and then Homer's nose is like wheezing. It's like making the noise, and Ned finally flips out and says, "Breathe through your damn mouth," and the whole church is all shocked. That's how I felt like I was like Darth Vader or something. But anyways, I can laugh about it now. I have no desire to go back and listen to the first year of episodes.
Totally. Yeah. I know that feeling with music. I mean, like, I feel like it's even worse with music because there's more ways that you can be crap at music than there are in podcasting. You know what I mean? Like, it was just, can't even believe it. And I'm sure I'll look back again and say the exact same thing later down the road
about
too.
Now.
Yeah.
I don't re-listen to my shows. Like I get them done, they're uploaded for the team to take care of, and I never listen to them again. And I don't understand that some people have the time to listen to their own episodes like 5 times, and they're really freaking themselves out. They're like, "Oh, I had an at this 21 minute and 42 second mark, and I dropped a pen in this one, and I should have said that." And they just really overthink it. I just say, get it done, do your best, but don't worry about it.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Yeah. So, what I want to briefly say something, and then I'll ask a question about it, because what we're doing now, with our business is we're finding that coaches are one of the best people that our offer can help, because the podcasting, the medium of podcasting is really about educating people, talking about things that you're passionate about, creating a lot of really great content that helps people in small little snippets and everything, and proving that you know what you're talking about. Because I think, like, to hire a coach, I mean, I probably wouldn't hire a coach if I didn't think that they were like an expert at what they did. And podcasting is, I think, a great way to prove that you're an expert. But in terms of your podcast, I mean, you've done so many episodes now. It's obviously costing you money to produce. Like you've outsourced it. If it wasn't costing you money to produce, it'd be costing you time, which is money, sometimes even more money. What are you getting back from it? Like, why do you continue to do it? I understand that you really like it. It's obvious if you've done it for this long. But what's the other value that it's bringing to your business?
I'll sound like, who was it, Mr. Krabs on SpongeBob when he says money, but that's, anyone who don't get
money.
Yeah. That sounds really crass. So I don't want to sound like, just the Gordon Gekko or something, but if you're not doing a podcast with the intention of getting an ROI, then I'd suggest you look at getting an ROI. And some people will do podcasts for hobbies. They're into Star Wars or antique cars or whatever, and I get it. But you really should be looking at, how can this grow my business? And I wouldn't have done 800 and some episodes if it wasn't giving me a good ROI on it and getting my name and message out there. The other thing, and I'm not an affiliate for you guys, but so this is an honest plug for you, but I got a sneak peek of your offer behind the scenes for coaches, and I think it's great for
good.
ones that want to get into podcasting. So
sure.
I'm saying that with no compensation or anything like that, just to let people know.
Clip that.
Yeah. I'll look in the mailbox for that money you promised for saying that.
Oh man, that's good advice though. I don't know. I kind of think that some people start their podcast and they're just gonna. I mean, like you did, you're just gonna get into it, start talking to people, and just get that first step of the 1,000 going. But having an intention of making some money back from it is important. It's not going to be, ad revenue. That's quite a misconception, I think, a lot of times. But what are the other 10 ways that you can make money? Well, you can get clients and all these things. But so like, are you finding that you actually get people coming to you and then working with you from the podcast, or how are you getting your ROI? Like what is it?
Yeah. So it's interesting. I'll ask people who start working with me, hey, how did you hear about me? And I find out that they say, well, I listen to your show sometimes, but I'm also in your Facebook group and I'm on your email list. So I'm getting your daily emails, and they can't pinpoint which one. So in a perfect world, people would be subscribed to my show. They'd be on my email list, in the Facebook group, everywhere else. And then that way you're making sure that they're hearing what you have to say, because it's so noisy now, even compared to 10 years ago when I got started, that it's you have to cut through that noise. So you want people to be in your ecosystem. I will say that a lot of podcasters make a mistake. They think, oh, I'll just start a show and then people magically come through the door, clients, customers, or whatever. And it's not like that. There's two sides of the coin. First, you have to have a good show that's giving value, obviously, but then you also have to have the business on the back end that you're directing people to. So the main ways I monetize my show, there's obviously coaching clients from it, but it's also joint venture partners. So I will partner with people who have something that helps coaches. It could be a program, service, whatever. And one of the perks, I have a whole package that they pay for, and I'll promote them hard for a week and everything else. And one of the things it includes is a spot on my podcast. So people don't have to pay to be on my show. There's people that come on my show that aren't paying, but often it is a joint venture partner who that's one of the perks, because the show's booked up pretty tight. But I guarantee a certain number of spots for my JV partners. So there's another way to do it.
Yeah. It's funny. I've never heard of that. I've seen that actually the episode that I listened to, it had like a spot at the front of maybe a website or something.
Yeah.
Builder. Yeah.
Well, I have that's right. Pinnacle Brands is my current. So that's a super JV sponsor, and what that is for the whole year, they get a bunch of perks, like an ad on every episode of my podcast. They get the banner in my Facebook group. They get
I saw that. We're part of that group.
Yeah, that's right. The PS at the bottom of all my daily emails, that's my partner there, and so on. So they're basically everywhere I'm at online. I'm promoting them. They're the super sponsor, I guess you'd say. So I'm a bigger fan of that, to charge a large amount of money and then have them all across the board. As you mentioned or hinted at earlier, it's a little tricky to get sponsors. I've had in my early days, I was selling sponsorships for like $500 a month or something like that. It's hard to cobble together enough sponsorship money that way. So I prefer to do it. If anyone wants to check out how I structured it, it's jvwithmarc.com, and that's Marc with a C. And then you'll see kind of the package, the way that I have the offerings and how I tie the podcast into it.
Yeah, so you're sort of using the podcast not as a standalone tool, but as a part of the whole sphere of what, like, you don't have a massive show that people are paying tons of money to be on, but you've got all these things with all these different people involved, and it's also niche. Well, niche coaching is very, very broad, but still it's niche enough. That's kind of it's pretty genius.
Yeah, I think, Celine, you'd asked what's changed with podcasting. Nowadays, you do have to be a little more focused or niche down. Not saying it can't happen, but I do think that John with Entrepreneur on Fire caught lightning in a bottle when he did it, because there weren't a lot of shows with what he's doing. And it was novel. He was doing daily at the time. It's like, oh, wow, 7 days a week or whatever. And I feel like a lot of people since then have jumped in to try to copy that model, and it just hasn't worked because it's too broad. The same thing goes for Facebook groups or really anything. If you try to appeal to everyone with something like, oh, this is a podcast or a group for motivation or for success or for happiness, it's way too broad. So you do have to keep a focus now more than ever, because there are so many more shows. Even though a lot of them are in purgatory, you don't know if they're dead or alive, but still there are a lot of shows out there.
Yeah, I heard somebody talking, one of the biggest people in the podcast production industry, saying that they had a client come to them who wanted to do a podcast for open banking in Morocco or something like that. Some really, really...
Yeah, I think it was even a less known country than Morocco. I feel like
very obscure place. Yeah. They wanted to do a podcast on open banking in this obscure, what country, whatever. And she said, no, like, I don't think we should do that. I think we should, do something that might have more of a listenership, more of an audience.
Yeah.
They said, no, like, we want to do this. She said, I really don't know. We want to do this. And so she goes, all right, let's do it. Like, you're paying for it. And she said it's one of the biggest podcasts that her company's ever produced. It's got like hundreds of thousands of downloads for this open right? Like, it's so incredibly niche. But when you can show a potential listener or a potential audience person that you've got something that is specifically for them, you break through all the rest of the noise. Like, we were even thinking of like doing a podcast specifically for coaches who want to do podcasting.
Yeah.
Because at that point, it's like, there's all these podcasts about how to do a podcast. But if a coach is scrolling through and saying, okay, I don't know, I don't want, but then they see this is exactly for them, then you're able to cut through the noise of all the other people who are doing it.
Yeah, I heard about someone, she had a podcast she's doing for travel. It wasn't even travel tips. I think it was something like packing for travel. Like, how can you fit more stuff into your suitcase? And I'm like, I don't know if you can come up with enough things about it. You probably can when there's so many people interested in it, but that just goes to show, instead, if you went out there and say, hey, I have a travel podcast, well, yeah, there's a million of those. You have to definitely drill down a little bit more.
Yeah. Yep. That's definitely true. I remember, and I think this is for a lot of people, like, they're afraid to niche down because they say, oh, the potential audience gets smaller, but actually it's completely the opposite. Like, you really should, especially now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Of course.
I always say, the example I give is the only way you could go too far is if you were, let's say, a business coach, because I work with coaches, and if you said, hey, I'm a coach for left-handed dentists in Boise, Idaho, who are going through a divorce and they're looking to sell their business in the next 6 to 12 months, and they have to be named Bob, like, that's probably a little too
You
far.
Get your one client.
Yeah. But that's how it's changed in my world. One of my early interviews on my show was a business coach for dentists. And at the time he had free reign. The whole field was open. And now there's a ton of business coaches for dentists. So you can see there that you have a little bit of time with it, but then others kind of catch on to it. They jump into it. Then you have to see how you can pivot a little bit or change it up and
become unique again. Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, I want to know, if there's somebody listening to this show and they're thinking, like, what are some of the ways that I can get some listeners into the door? What have you found has been good to get people to listen to the podcast? Like, are you including it in your newsletter? Are you what's the sitch?
Yeah, I mean, there's always the marketing ways. Obviously, you use different channels that you have, but going at a bit of a different angle, there's different podcasts you can have. Of course, you could do an interview-based show. You can do a solo show, or you can do a hybrid where you're doing both types of episodes. The reason I like an interview style, which Natural Born Coaches is 95% of my shows, there's a guest on there.
Yeah.
Is that most guests, not all of them, there's the pet peeve, the ones that don't share it around, which happens occasionally, but most will share it around. So especially if you're starting out as a new show and you can get it doesn't have to be huge names. You don't need Oprah and Tony Robbins on there, but if you get some people with decent followings and then they're sharing it around, that's going to really help them grow faster than if you're trying to do it all yourself. On another note, it's a lot less work than a solo show. So you guys probably know about that. Like, I had a solo show, the Marc Mawhinney show, for a year. I did 50 some episodes. So much more work than Natural Born Coaches, because you're coming up with everything yourself and you're carrying the load. If you have a guest on, you're just having a conversation and they're carrying a lot of the load there too. So
for sure, That's definitely true. Because I'm the one researching usually.
Yeah, she does the research. And how is that? Like, how long does it take you to do one episode, right? Like,
yeah, like, I mean, it depends, but yeah, it can take a long time, especially because you don't want to say the most obvious things. Like, you know, you don't want to say the first things that come up on a Google search, because everybody can do that. So I do think, of course, like when you have a guest on, I just like how it naturally flows. And of course, like, whoever the guest is has a maybe a little bit of a different take on everything. So I think it's great.
Yeah, like I say in a way, I don't know how Joe Rogan does 3-hour episodes or whatever, but if I was getting paid hundreds of millions of dollars to do that, I'd be like, great, you want me on 24/7? I'll
we could probably convince you.
We
could probably.
But he does have a lot of guests on. Does he always have guests on? I don't know.
Yeah, any of them.
It's always guests.
Yeah,
it's always guests.
It's been guests from the very beginning. Yeah,
and they're not 20-30 minute type things. They're very long, but he's also being rewarded very well for it. So I'd be like, sign me up if you want a 10-hour show. Let's do it.
Yeah, totally. I'm really only listening to the Joe Rogan ones where they talk about ancient civilizations like Egypt and
she
stuff,
loves
because I'm super interested, and I definitely listen to the whole thing. But that's the only episodes that I actually listen
that's
from
my
him.
brother and his wife are into those. They watch all the shows with the guy with the hair and the meme. You know, it's like aliens. That's I forget his name.
The meme,
Yeah, Matt will tell me, he's like, oh, did you hear about this? Did you hear about that? I'm like, did you, research that? Well, that was on this ancient whatever civilizations show. I'm like, yeah, you may want to check on that. I don't know, but
Justin makes fun of me all the time.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah, of course. Yeah. Another thing that we found is like, I mean, what we, like when we're doing this podcast, like we don't really think about like, oh, this person is going to share it or really anything like that. Like, to be honest, one of the benefits of having a podcast like this is like, well, we get to learn from people who know a lot more things than we do about all kinds of things. But also we get to really just talk to people in a way that, like, I mean, we wouldn't be able to really have this conversation otherwise. Like, I mean, it's kind of strange in business to just say, hey, do you want to book a call to chat? Like, it's kind of, it's not really a thing that people do. I mean, you go for coffee, but you don't really do that online. But a podcast is a really good way. It's like an excuse to talk to people. It's an excuse to like get people over here and like, hey, like, you know, come talk about yourself, because people love doing that. And then it's like, but also like talk to us and like, and then you get to meet people.
Free education. The interesting thing too is I hear a lot of new hosts who want to get these really big name guests on their show, and they've got their dream list. And hey, I think it's great. Go for it. But don't discount the quote smaller guests, because I found guests that don't have quite as large following will share it so much more often, right? Because it's a big deal. They're on your show. So I've had some guests like every day they're sharing it around. They tag me and I'm like, holy jeez. And then there's a bigger name that's on the show that doesn't share it. And it's like, wow, if someone can't share the episode, I mean, what can you do? Can't send the cops after them or whatever.
Yeah, of course.
I think it's common etiquette if someone has you onto their show and they're given a platform to reach some people they haven't heard before and stuff, then I think the least you could do is share it around to your audience and let them know.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think a big thing is also people will want to listen to a podcast where they can see that the guests are somebody really knowledgeable. And we've been really lucky with that, I think, because I would want to listen to the people that we've interviewed, because I know like these are knowledgeable people. Like I want to know what they're saying.
The two types of guests that frustrate me are the ones that answer with like couple word answers, and then you're like, wow, this is gonna be a 5-minute long interview, we're gonna have to come up with stuff. Now on the flip side of it, there's guests that you say, hey, tell us a little bit about yourself, and it's a 15-20 minute answer. You can go make a sandwich, take a walk around the block, get a shower, come back. And I did have one guest like that. She was a nice lady, but I was thinking, am I being punked here? What's going on? Because it was literally a 15-minute answer over something that should have been 30 seconds. And I was like, this is going to be a tough one. So I think a good balance. I don't know about you guys, but I always find that with my shows, if the guest is, I want to be talking less than the guest, and I think it's probably a good balance would be maybe me talking a third of the time. Them
I was literally going to say 70-30 is probably
like in that ballpark. I've been on some shows as a guest where the host is talking like by far most of the time.
What's the point?
Do you need me here? I'm just going to leave since you're cool with that, So it should be a free flowing back and forth. That's the best conversations and the best for the audience as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, there's definitely people that are more made for this than others, because I happen to listen to a lot of the actual recording sessions of our clients. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I can just tell that somebody's maybe not really made for this whole podcasting thing. It just doesn't work out for them. But mostly, I have to say, most people are like good at it.
Or if a host is like, so tell me, Justin and Celine, what is your opinion on, and you can tell they're like reading, that's probably a bit much. I'm a big political junkie, and I listened to an interview earlier this week. Robert Kennedy Jr. is running against Biden for the Democratic nomination. And he's super knowledgeable, but in some ways he's maybe too knowledgeable because he doesn't have the art of the soundbite down. And his answers were just way over the heads of 99% of the electorate in the States, I'm sure. So you need someone to kind of come in and tighten them up a little bit to get those punchier.
Get straight to the point.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah. For sure.
Yeah. I was thinking like for what our business is doing, do you think that like every coach should have a podcast? Like, do you think it's a good idea for us to be trying to work with coaches mainly, or like what comes to mind?
Well, I don't say people have to do anything. If a coach absolutely hates the whole medium of podcasting and they prefer, twerking on TikTok or something, which isn't that's not me. No, but if they don't like podcasting and the thought of it makes them want to throw up, then geez, absolutely hate it. Then obviously you shouldn't. Same goes with email marketing. If you hate writing stuff, maybe email's not the best way to go. But I think for the majority of coaches, they should look at podcasting. Especially now. I mean, if you look at how many more people are listening to podcasts in cars with apps. Like I remember 5 years ago, even I would be talking to relatives, or they're like, "So what do you do?" This isn't my immediate family, but some distant cousins or aunts, uncles, and they didn't know what podcasts were when I was talking about that. And now pretty much everyone or most people know what a podcast is. So to answer that part of the question, I think most coaches would benefit from having a podcast. As long as they have the business, like the call to action and the offers and stuff set up.
Ironed out in the back end.
I mean, for you guys, I can say I haven't come across many people who are specifically targeting coaches for podcasters. Most are just, hey, it can help you if you're an entrepreneur or whatever, if you're a thought leader or something. So I would say it's what I love about coaches, they're not afraid to invest in themselves. Most coaches, I mean, that's just a few of my books back there. I could have a whole room filled with books, but most coaches are spending a fortune on books, personal development courses, conferences, everything else. So I think it's great for you guys because they're willing to invest in themselves.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That sounds like us, though.
Yeah, I mean, us
We're
too.
not coaches.
We also do a lot of that as well.
Yeah.
So I think that's good to know. It's like it's kind of something that we're also passionate about, because I also like the idea of helping people who help people, because that's usually what coaches do, and it's just really cool to be able to facilitate that.
Maybe it's taken or whatever. If you have like a really cool name for the coaching, like coach casting. I'm just.
I can't believe you just said that. That's
one of the ones. Yeah.
We've already got it. Yeah.
I was going to buy the URL and try to sell it to you for like 10 grand, but never mind.
Literally, Coach Cast is what we were talking about.
We were going to say Coach Cast
because like we're going to have the podcast, and then the business, and then the community is going to be Coach Cast, and all about that strategy stuff.
Yeah,
great minds think alike. Yeah,
totally. Yeah. So we're kind of winding down, but I do want to know, like, I would have liked to also get more into your business and what inspires you and all these different things. But like, I mean, like I said, most people are listening for podcast related stuff, so I hope you don't mind that we focused mostly on that. But I do want to ask you, like, in terms of how many things that you do. I mean, you do tons and tons of things, and you're running this podcast. How are you able to stay sharp and energized without like burning out? Like, I'm 23, and sometimes I feel like I'm burning. I'm already burning out.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, enjoy your 20s. They go fast because I'm 44. I'll be probably 45 in late June by the time this comes out.
Yeah.
I think of myself in my 20s, but then I talk to people in 20s like, no, I'm old. But what I'd say is the key is to find something you enjoy doing. And I know it's cliche to say find something you enjoy doing. You won't work a day in your life.
Yeah.
But I think it's true. And too many people are chasing the dollar. They think, oh, I'll do this in the online space because I heard it's the easiest way to make money. So they're jumping into like crypto or all this other stuff that maybe they don't enjoy. They just think it's the quickest way to vast wealth. And if you find something you enjoy, like I've been doing this now for over 9 years, it feels like 3 or 4 years. It doesn't feel like 9 years. And it doesn't feel like work. Sometimes I feel guilty because I look at, people who are working, especially in Canada in the winter, to get out 10 feet of snow, drive into the office, everything else. And I'm in like pajama pants and slippers, at the desk, that doing work. And in a way, I feel guilty when I'm being paid and compensated well for this. But yeah, I think that would be my suggestion. Find something that you really enjoy doing with it. But you also have to, my issue is I'm a recovering workaholic because my background's in real estate, where I was used to just go 100 plus hours a week and always on the phone and everything else. And I can sometimes lean towards working too much. I have to say to myself, okay, Mark, shut down the laptop and watch. Like right now I'm binge watching Succession. I love the show. And, I don't feel guilty either because I'm like, no, I need some time to decompress here and watch a binge worthy show. Sometimes you have to do that.
Yeah. For sure. Good advice. I think, I mean, it can be difficult because you say like, do what you love. But sometimes depending on where you go, it can be hard to find the dollar in the amounts that you might want to live the life that you want. So it's hard to find, that balance of trying to build a career that's based on something that you love so that you're not getting burnt out. But while also like, I mean, you want to have a good amount of money because you want to be able to support your family and have a beautiful place to live and be able to travel and stuff like that. And so
there's nothing wrong with building it up on the side too. I find in the online space and entrepreneurial world, there's a little bit of shaming of, oh, someone has an office job, corporate job.
Hugely,
and there's nothing wrong with that. For the first almost year of my coaching business, I had a sales position here in my home province. And it was great because I got to work from home with the sales position, so I could do both, build on the side. But you can build up your coaching or whatever you're doing once you start seeing consistent revenue coming in and you're feeling good about it, then you can give your notice. But it doesn't have to be on day one because there's nothing worse if that's your only source of income. And let's say coaching, you need to get a client tomorrow to pay the bills. You're going to be choosing some bad clients. So I always say, don't be like Jerry Maguire. That movie where Tom Cruise goes in and quits, in the office. Renee Zellweger's the only one that goes with him when he's like, who's with me? And then he rolls up his sleeve and gets an office goldfish. He's like, this is my fish. I paid for it or whatever. Don't do that like with your boss. Wait till you build it up and then you make a graceful exit over.
Even though you may want to, yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be on day one. There's no harm in building up side hustles. I know people have done their side hustle 5-10 years the same time, as working, and then they made the switch over.
Oh, for sure.
Totally. So we know where to find you. We'll link it below. There's all sorts of different things that you offer. There's your Coaching Jungle Facebook group, which is like, are you at all sort of like selective about who comes in there? Is it all coaches or, well, we're not coaches and we're up in there. And
yeah, no, I mean, it's anyone interested in coaching, could be an aspiring coach, someone thinking about it. I mean, we don't let people in if they have no profile picture, they're a member of 2,000 groups. If they look like a Playboy model with an obviously fake profile, like, that could be a spammer, So there's things like that, but it's, we don't say, hey, are you a coach? You have to be a coach to come in here. It's, a little more open.
Okay, so lots of people can join the program then, or the group. Yeah, we're in there, and I look at stuff just because, well, we want to work with coaches, and that's probably a good place for us to learn about what they do. And other than that, you've got the Natural Born Coaches podcast, which is like a wealth of knowledge for anybody who's interested in that. And anywhere else that you like people to find you? What if somebody wants to work with you?
Yeah, naturalborncoaches.com is a central hub. So I'm also just getting onto YouTube, and it's the early days, but I'd appreciate if anyone gets a chance, check out the channel. It's Marc Mawhinney. So you go to naturalborncoaches.com/YouTube. And if you could subscribe, that would help me out, because I'm pushing to grow that channel here in the early days.
Sure, of course. Yes, we'll subscribe to you.
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome.
Okay, well, thanks for coming on. I think it's really cool to be able to have this conversation. I'm really grateful that you took some time for us little youngsters in the business world trying to make it, and enjoy the rest of your day. And we'll send you some awesome content from this to share around, like you said.
Yeah, thanks for the invite, guys.
Totally.
Thank you.